How's it going, KINE 552? My name is Hiroaki Takahashi, and this is the study in sport psychology for powerlifters. So the target population is powerlifters in the ages of 21 to 35, who have competed or are in currently in the USAPL or USPA leagues, or who actually train the squat, bench, and deadlift, or affectionately called the SBD. And I have some resonance in this population just because I am currently a competitive powerlifter and a former powerlifting coach as well too. So the population themselves deal with a lot of the things that sports athletes kind of deal with as well on a daily basis or on a weekly basis or on a competitive basis, and that's anxiety, stress, mood changes, and burnout. That's one of the big things that I have run through myself, but also I've found in the research. So we're going to take a look at different aspects of that in the competition and kind of go through my own personal anecdotes, but also look through what the research says. So in the first half, we're going to take a look at some research done by Nuruhiden and colleagues. This was done in the country of Patapongken, Gaja, Lumpang. And they were taking a look at facilities, coaching, and the programming and the overall fit and finish for powerlifters and weightlifters there. Olympic weightlifting, excuse me. And they found that the programs were well established, which is good. I think having a good program, good location, good coaching, overall will improve the quality of training. So to kind of move on from that, Judge and colleagues, they took a look at some anxiety and performance in lifts for powerlifting, and they found in their sport competition anxiety test, or SCAT, that higher scores led to lower performances. Anxiety, it's a big issue when it comes to performance. You don't know how well you're going to do, and using some coping techniques, as Judge and colleagues have found, can help kind of reduce that. And we're going to kind of jump into that a little bit more, but some of the factors are meditation or self-talk, just letting yourself, kind of hyping yourself up in that aspect. So Lijdokova and colleagues took a look at stressors from sickness and injury, and found that there are effects, but not only physical effects, but also psychological effects. It does bring some athletes back a few notches. And, it shows during competition as well too. It can have some negative effects. If you're feeling sick or if you have come back from an injury, you don't feel yourself 100%, you won't perform as well. And that's something that is huge when it comes to actually performing for a competition. Some strategies that they took a look at here are having good leadership, a good coach that can pep talk you and can help you really talk down your anxiety and really kind of hone in and lock in on, the quality of the performance, not only psychologically, but also physiologically, which is good. So not only will you feel good, but you feel like you can perform good, and you do. And I've experienced that definitely with my coach. Some social environments, physical environments, and family culture stuff that we're going to take a look at. Like I said in the previous study with the Naruhiden and colleagues, I almost forgot the name. But in that study, they found satisfactory marks all around in the facility, the coaching and all that stuff. But location is tough for powerlifters. If you don't have access to a bar, it's not going to really do well for you. If you don't have access to a squat rack or a bench press, it's going to be even tougher. That's the whole sport. Mark in our texts states without a proper training facility, non-compliance could happen and training is not done. And that's very true. If you don't have access to this stuff, you're not going to do the training that you're supposed to. A coach can also be a huge factor for support. If you don't have support from your teammates, your coaches, your family members, you don't want to perform anymore, because it's like, why would you even bother doing the thing in the first place? And kind of continuing it on that, a coach that's willing to work around your location hardships right now is key. Most of us as students, we have access to our recreational facility. Even in my alumni, Cal State San Bernardino, we also had that as well too, included in our fees for school. So as long as there's a squat rack, a bench press, and a bar, and a flat surface with weights, you can train SBD. Gym memberships nowadays as well too, kind of referencing my location that I work at currently right now, Fitness 19. We serve people's memberships at $7 a month, so it's highly accessible because it is highly affordable. But if it's not the case and money's hard, then maybe taking a look into a different sport is also a good option as well, because powerlifting does require that at the minimum. Celebrating little wins and unconditional acceptance. That is something that is huge as a coach as well too, as a personal trainer. Seeing those little wins and letting them know, like, hey, it's okay, we got this, we can take care of this, life happens, it's all right, you're doing great. Whatever small changes that we're making is going to be a big change in the future. And Dalsgraves and colleagues really echo that as well too in their research. And they were stating in their research that creating small goals, listing them actually and physically seeing them, and even listing out the pros and cons of these situations, like what can be the positive in this, what can be the negative in this, is something that can be seen in person and can also be worked on over time during the training program for a powerlifter. Some barriers that I've seen in the research, and also myself included and the athletes I've trained, is location and equipment. Again, super important in powerlifting. That is a huge factor in training. So there's no clear goal in mind. That's also a huge thing. Are you just competing just to compete? Do you want to make good numbers? Do you want to make state? Do you want to make nationals? If you don't have a clear goal in sight, it's going to be hard for you to keep training as a powerlifter if there's nothing to do. Even setting a small goal as, I want to bench 300 one day, is also a big thing. Burnout. It's a monotonous sport. You repeat those same exercises weekly, sometimes 2 times, 3 times a week for each movement. It depends on what you're trying to do and improve. Stress to perform and make weight. That is huge. If you can't make weight, you're going to have to class up or not compete. When you step on that platform, there's a crowd. There's a timer. There's a judge watching you. There's scrutiny involved. And injury and pain. That's huge. Coming from injuries myself, I tore a pec earlier this year, and it took me months, luckily no surgery, but it took me months to get back to bench pressing. And even then too, I was scared to bench press because I didn't want to get hurt again. So diving deep into those factors, anxiety in prep and competition is a huge factor. Measuring the negatives and positives to seek clarity lessens anxiety. Mark in our text said it best. Knowing that there is some net positives and negatives, and looking through what can be kind of taken away and kept and put in the back of our head is key. Clearing the mind of all of those racing thoughts and just kind of solidifying a left and a right, or a positive and a negative, or pro and con, however you want to do it, can help you really kind of lock in to what you're doing for training. Mental imagery is a huge thing. You can even do that, like I said, a left in your case a right, or a right in your case a left, is also something to look forward to. Prep before, during, and after your competitions. So you're training during your competition, what you're going to do after, to ensure peak performance, is something that judge and colleagues also kind of hammer down in their research. Burnout and the training process can be monotonous. And it is, like I said, you do it over and over again. The same lifts, the same accessories, whatever the case may be. Being self-aware, like Barnacle and LePage said in their text, and being mindful, as Mark said in our text, while training, can help prove a net positive in your experience as a powerlifter. Stress can help or hurt. In this case, stress can be hurtful. Adherence and compliance to the training and competition is tough when you're stressed out. Everybody has lives. We're full-time students, we're full-time workers, we're full-time dads, moms, whatever the case may be. It's going to have an effect on training and competition. Managing it from both perspectives, men and women, understanding that physiologically we are different, but there are some things that we need to do to keep it locked in is key. Injury and pain is also a huge factor. Coming out of injury and thinking to yourself, maybe I can get hurt again, maybe I'm not going to get hurt again. It's also very stressful. It's going to keep you from training at your best. Set realistic goals for yourself. Modify the exercises if necessary, as Moore and colleagues would say in their research. You don't have to start with a bench press, maybe a chest press machine, maybe bands, something of that nature to keep it light and keep it moving and grooving, as I would tell my clients, so that way we can continue training. Oh. There we go. Okay. A mission statement. Something I found in the book is rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, be consistent in prayer. That's fantastic. I think that sums up who I am as an individual. I'm a very hopeful individual. I try to be as much as I can. There's a light in every single tunnel in my world. Being patient. I'm also a very patient person. I was so patient I waited 5 years to do my master's program. But besides the point, it takes time. Everything takes time. Being in the field for 5 years and using practical application has really helped me adhere to the course. Wink, wink. Just throwing up stuff in there. But also being patient helped me kind of see I do need to move on and do need to advance my learning. So I went into my master's program with that mentality going forward and, praying for it. Definitely. All the time. Hey, is this the right thing to do? Do I feel like I need to do this? Help me out. Give me some sort of answer. Give me a yes or no. I prayed when I applied and I got in, so there must be some truth to that as well too, as someone who is still kind of figuring out religion as well, but also understanding like, okay, cool, there is some lightness to it as well, which is a fantastic thing. And keeping motivated throughout my journey. This quote is definitely something that I will maybe tattoo on myself. No, I'm just kidding. But definitely keep around in my life, for sure. And that was in Romans 12, verse 12. A highlight in this course, Dr. G, you have been such a delight as a professor. Energy is everything for me. And, what you give out, you're going to receive back. And I just want to give back that energy to you and that delight to you. So thank you. Keeping it light throughout your lectures, keeping it entertaining. So I am hooked in the lectures, but also spewing out the knowledge in a proper way that I can still take in the information and regurgitate it to even my clients that I train and to my athletes that I used to train. So, and the key is also to be passionate about it. If you're not passionate about the subject, I don't know why you're here. And I really, really love this subject, and I really, really want to continue the learning of the subject. So this really, really is a delight to have in the class, but also a fantastic end to the summer, as summer ends here. That is the presentation for powerlifting and the study of the psychology and the sports psychology in it. The references pages is here. Thank you for listening in and seeing my presentation, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day or night. Thank you.